fucking how QAnon went global. Yes.
Q says do not fear.
Many of our government, according to
Q says do not fear, and that's fantastic. Do not
I
fear.
don't know really anything about it other than they do supposedly like
Since the start of the pandemic, QAnon has grown from being a fringe conspiracy theory in the United States to a global phenomenon with millions of followers. From London to Rome.
Let me ask you guys something. So, there's some people who openly state that they used to be Republican and they watched me and they started changing their minds on things. What was a segment that you can recall that helped you start seeing what I'm saying in a different light? Like, what segment was it? Was it like React Andy stuff where you were like watching me? Or was it fucking, or was it because it's probably not because I yelled at like a gray name and called him a fucking idiot and like owned him. That probably doesn't help at all. Thanks, guys. Of course, I'm a fucking idiot. I'm a fucking absolute moron for asking 30,000 children a serious question. It was a moronic moment where I, a moron, asked a moronic question to a group of fucking children who are now, of course, going to meme this into oblivion. It's great. It's fucking great.
Wet ass P word. Make that pullout game weak.
Thanks for the good times, Hassie.
His name is Hasan.
It was over time, like over the span of a few months, I used to hate you. Yeah, there's a lot of people who came in here probably because they fucking hated my guts and thought I don't belong on this platform, or were very upset because they knew me as like, oh, this guy's a fucking TYT guy. Fuck him. I hate him. And maybe at first you wanted to even trigger, but then you got a little intimidated by the way I fucking reacted to people who were trying to trigger me. So then you didn't want to say anything. But then you were like, wait a minute, he's watching some cool videos. I'll just stick around, see what the fuck this is about. And then ultimately, that's how you like start finding yourself liking the community. It's not just me. It's not me at all. It's the community that's really good. And then you hear me say shit about the Democrats and you're like, wait a minute, he's right. I hate the demon rats too. But I'm trying to figure out like what keeps you hooked. Because it can't be just like my straightforward political coverage that gets you hooked, because that's, you're conditioned into hating me that way. My friend hates you and thinks you're some idiot leftist because all he knows is the 9/11 thing. It doesn't matter if like.
There's some whores in this house.
The point is,
of molding hyperclap.
When you compare the Hong Kong protests to BLM protests and show the hypocrisy of the right. No, I'm not asking you if you're a leftist. Like, obviously, if you're a fucking leftist, it doesn't matter. I know why you're here. This is an opportunity for you to enjoy content from a leftist perspective that you're never going to get anywhere else. Like, literally. Like, there is no content directed towards, like, a leftist community because people just don't think that there is a leftist community to begin with.
Psychopathic worm. Here he is.
First thing that got me was
so that's understandable that so many leftists come here and congregate here because there's no other place that is this big for leftists to come in all day long and like react to stuff or consume content from a leftist point of view. I meant like, I saw you reacting to Boo Boo Bennett and the one talking to the communists on college campus. This was after I saw Jon Stewart cry in court for 9/11 first responders. And I went down a huge rabbit hole and became fully radicalized lefty. I used to debate you in chat back when you had like 50 viewers. I used to hate you back then. Then I realized leftists are real people and normal, so I became more open to your ideas. That is my look. You know how Bernie Sanders has a turnout strategy, or he had a vision and like he was going to turn out people. What that person said in the chat is exactly what my vision has been and will always be. Serious answer. was I first came in when you guys needed some bot shit and didn't really like anything surrounding you before, but never gave you a chance. You seemed pretty nice, so I stuck around, and then you showed me more about Bernie's campaign back then, which got me interested in politics, even though I already knew. I was pretty left. I just never paid attention to politics beforehand. This got me into it. Oh, nice.
But I respect your views and passion. I love your impersonations also of the Italians like me and others is funny. I love people with
Fox
passion.
said this a while back when they started their podcast. You can't change people's minds by debating them. They have to respect you and be your friend, and then you slowly change their mind. Exactly. That's my vision of change. Some people on the internet believe that you can fucking debate lord people. Some people on the internet believe you can like debate lord people into changing their minds. That's not true, in my opinion. And I'm not very good at debating regardless.
There's some
but
whores in this house.
I will still engage people, and I will still debate people, or I will still dismantle talking points. And I still am fascinated by Republican talking points. But I don't think that that is a successful method of like truly changing people's minds. In order to do that, you need to present a different point of view in a presentable capacity. I try to do that. I try to show you that like the entirety of the left is not what anti-SJWs have depicted the left as. That's not true.
Follow you right back to mommy.
And ultimately, when you see someone like myself matching up against someone like Sargon of Akkad with his fucking neck beard, talking about how, oh, look at these crazy social justice warriors. After a while, you're like, wait a minute. Like, I mean, I think the choice is clear here. There's also the secondary consequence of the right actually winning material power. And then you see all of these guys still preaching the same fucking anti-SJW shit. And that's totally played out. And you start recognizing slowly but surely that like maybe the blue-haired SJW gender non-binary person who's a college freshman has no power whatsoever and is just upset because their life is not great. And for understandable reasons, they're upset.
Hasan.
And that the right keeps fucking making an enemy out of them. But meanwhile, like they got nothing. They got no fucking power. And my life still hasn't changed. Laura Croft's titties are still tiny. They still haven't made Laura Croft's titties bigger, dude. Donald Trump's president for 4 years. Why no Laura Croft titty?
This is a deranged pervert.
If you were a real leftist, you would platform smaller leftist streamers like Bernie. Well, I'm a fake leftist.
Berlin to Melbourne,
His name
anti-mask and
is Hasan.
anti-lockdown protesters have been taking to the streets, with some claiming that the pandemic has been caused by 5G cell phone towers, and others alleging that it's entirely fake, an elaborate plot concocted by a cabal of satanic-worshipping pedophiles who are attempting to erode individual liberties and exert control using vaccines.
It's all about control. Look at the science. Show me the science with a mask, because I'll show you science. The virus goes right through the mask.
Right back to mommy.
QAnon originated in 2017 when cryptic messages began appearing on the anonymous messaging board 4chan, with a user named Q Clearance Patriot claiming to be a government mole with access to classified information. Without proof, Q claims Donald Trump is waging a war against the deep state and liberal elites, including a Satanist pedophile cabal who are harvesting the blood of children. It's a theory Trump refuses to denounce.
What I do hear about it is they are very strongly against pedophilia, and I agree with that. I mean, I do agree with that, and I agree with it.
But there's not
very
a
strongly.
satanic pedophile cult
no
being run
idea.
by.
I know
You
nothing
don't
about
know that? Okay.
No, I don't know
you
that.
Just
and
this
neither
week.
do you know that.
P-word. Make that pullout game weak.
Yeah, remember when Donald Trump did that? That was also not that long ago. When he said he doesn't have an idea if there's a satanic pedophile cabal, like he just literally couldn't say, no, there isn't a satanic pedophile cabal. That's crazy. That was fucking 2 weeks ago, dude.
It is not known how many Americans truly believe or even understand the ins and outs of this conspiracy theory, but QAnon adherents have turned QAnon into a counter-establishment movement carried by the alt-right or like-minded conservative groups abroad. An internal investigation by Facebook uncovered thousands of groups and pages with millions of members and followers that support the QAnon conspiracy theory.
Look at how it makes us look around the world. It's mortifying. It's embarrassing and it's dangerous. It's dangerous. If the president doesn't know better, which he has to know better, then my Lord, we're in much more trouble than I ever thought we were.
QAnon has been further legitimized by 27 candidates who have promoted QAnon theories and are running for Congress in the upcoming election, including Marjorie Taylor Greene, who won her local primary and is on track to be elected Congresswoman in the state of Georgia.
You've got Democrats and Republicans, and there's many of them part of the deep state. They say as many as 1/3 of our government is involved in this.
Russell Muirhead is a professor of democracy and politics at Dartmouth and recently co-authored a book entitled A Lot of People Are Saying, which explores how conspiracy theories have moved from the fringes of society to the heart of government.
At least 1/3. It's like she's so sure. Of course, the background doesn't change. She's still like a fucking psycho wealthy real estate developer and shit. Like, it's not like she is a member of the proletariat, okay? Marjorie Taylor Greene, I mean.
I remember when I was in graduate school, I lived in Boston, Massachusetts, which is the center of Red Sox Nation. And I would procrastinate, which is the central activity of any good graduate student, by going to games in the afternoon. I'd always pass the same guy selling t-shirts that said, "Yankees suck." Well, in those days, Yankees were the world champions. And I'd look over him and I'd say, you do understand that the Yankees don't actually suck, don't you? And he looked at me like I was a crazy person. But, the proposition that the Yankees sucked was factually unsupported. It's about tribal identification. When people go to a Trump rally and hold up a Q sign, it's about a
typical debate lord Andy. PhD, fucking living in Boston. He's like, well, you do know actually that the Yankees are winning, right? There's no factual basis.
affiliation. If I were to try to recast it in a way that wasn't completely barking mad, I'd say it's a way of saying
I know he's right. It's just funny that he would try to do this to like some weirdo fucking t-shirt selling Andy.
Stand with Trump, and I think that he's a force for good in the world.
Belief in conspiracy theories is very common. Surveys have consistently shown, not only here in the US, but in other countries, that about 50% of the population believes in at least one conspiracy theory. And so that highlights that belief in conspiracy theories is really a normal process.
Prior to the age of modern democracy, parties were conspiracies. Groups of people who wanted to unseat the power holders had to conspire in secret, because if their machinations were visible, they would, of course, been executed for sedition. We're concerned that this phenomenon is, in fact, reverting, and that we're beginning again to think of parties as conspiracies, as something that's not legitimate.
What is it, like 43% of Americans believe that Jesus Christ is going to return to planet Earth? Or no, angels exist? It's something like that. It's like 40% of Americans believe that angels are real and they exist. And a close enough number to that also believe that Jesus Christ is going to return to planet before 2050. According to a classic Pew study that fucking r/atheists love using. That's not a conspiracy though. I mean, okay. Guys, evangelicals, especially like evangelical Zionists, okay? Evangelicals believe in the rapture. Like, they think that the reason why they support Israel, for example, is because they believe that once Israel, once that entire region is given to the chosen sons and daughters of God, then Jesus Christ will come down and fight Satan in that region, and then the rapture will happen, and the evangelicals will get sucked into heaven, and everyone else will have to suffer eternal damnation unless they convert. And yes, this includes the Jews as well. So I mean, they believe this. Like, this is something that they fucking believe. It's absolutely preposterous. Completely insane that, like, this is a profoundly psychotic belief system that guides a really significant part of the Republican base that has outsized power. Like, that has outsized political power. Just think about that. That's why Donald Trump constantly says, like, oh, I gave the embassy to Jerusalem. And everyone's like, yeah, fuck yeah. It's like, dude, what are you talking about? Like, what are you talking about, dude? You used to work on a fucking assembly line in a factory that hasn't been opened for like 2 decades now. What the fuck do you give a shit about Israel and the embassy moving to Jerusalem? Fuck yeah, dude. Hell yeah. I mean, I'm fucked, but it doesn't matter. I'm fucking yeah. Hell yeah. It's like, dude, what are you saying? That's why. By the way, that's the reason. Because evangelical or Christian Zionism. 41% believe that Jesus will return by 2050. Yeah, sorry. I said 48, I think. I was wrong. I was... Definitely is 23% and probably is 2050. Nearly 60% of the white evangelical Christians say Christ will return on earth in this period. React to it on stream? You mean when Jesus Christ comes back to earth? They also believe in an American president antichrist, microchipping of human beings as a democratic ploy, the UN seeking world power, and oh yeah, that the earth is 6,000 years old. Yeah. True. Here's the thing. I'm all for whatever kind of fucking sicko, psycho shit you want to believe in, as long as you're not doing harm by others. But the reason why I fucking criticize the evangelicals is because their fucking world system or their worldview is broken fundamentally, and it's crazy. But then they also have insane fucking political power. And they exercise it regularly. Like, the Republican Party will literally exercise it for them. I mean, to be honest, you could ask Christians at any point in history and they think the rapture was going to happen soon for them too. I guess. Also, the most hilarious part about this is, let's say Jesus Christ is real, okay? Let's say he comes back to planet Earth. These evangelicals would call him a fucking queer and kill him. You fucking socialist. They'd murder him. You'd be like, he's brown. Got long fucking hippie hair. They would literally kill him. They would run him over in the fucking first BLM protest that he attended. Who the fuck? Fuck you, you freeloading commie. Boom. Fucking dead Jesus, dude. Like, you're so far removed from all the good and ethical conduct built into your religion that, like, you'd probably kill Jesus if you had the opportunity. Maybe you should just fucking reorient yourself a little bit. Yeah, literally a Palestinian. God came back as a transformer. They might buy that. Jesus has been historically real, so don't say hypothetically if he was real. Okay, I don't mean historical Jesus, motherfucker. I mean, like, Jesus in the way that it's depicted in the Bible. Shut the fuck up. Like, historical Jesus didn't fucking turn water into wine. What do you mean?
As groups that are not merely opponents, but that are enemies.
Conspiracy theories often arise during times of societal crisis where information isn't forthcoming, and so people who need closure and certainty will often gravitate towards conspiracy theories for those kinds of answers.
Our country and our elitists are literally using the blood of children to fuel their...
That's Scotty the Kid.
everything.
Lack of analytical thinking. lack of education, and also something called bullshit receptivity has also been found to be more common in people who believe in conspiracy theories. And finally, it's something called a teleologic bias, which describes the preference for some people to want to believe that everything happens for a reason, some sort of higher purpose, rather than events just happening randomly. Levels of mistrust in government institutions, in scientific institutions, has been the lowest it's been in at least half a century. People just are very vulnerable to coming to believe information that just frankly isn't true. And in the era of the internet, of course, doing that is very easy.
For a long time, the internet was a domain of computer scientists and researchers. It emerged in the 1960s. Today, the web has become an everyday part of our lives and is used for everything from grocery shopping to finding a date.
Conspiracy theories are nothing new. Since World War II alone, the assassination of JFK, the moon landing, and 9/11 have attracted conspiracy theories, with people concocting stories to try and make sense of real-life events. However, QAnon represents a new form of conspiratorial thinking.
Conspiracy theory has given way to conspiracy without the theory. Whereas conspiracy theorists used to take a great care to assemble evidence or pseudo-evidence, to connect the dots, to find patterns, we notice that that's given way to a kind of conspiratorial allegation that sits out there all by itself.
I said this earlier today. He's going to go in with the marshals and a team of lawyers to seize the fucking mail-in ballots. Potentially. Again, they say it. They say what they're going to do. Nobody wanted to listen to me. I said, this is creepily similar to Recep Tayyip Erdogan and his rise to power. And everyone was like, dude, come on, that can't ever happen here. Shut the fuck up, dude. No way that's legal in any capacity. Yo, my guy, that doesn't matter. Like, the highest court in the land is now permanently pretty much supermajority conservative. Like, what are you talking about? Legality. Like, what legal grounds does Donald Trump need? Like, how are people still making like the legal argument? Oh, well, that's illegal, sir. Bitch, so is the fucking emoluments clause being violated. Donald Trump has been doing that since day one. Anarchists are right when they say crime is not a crime. It's true. You can make anything legal and you can make anything illegal. Just that, do you have enough power to be able to do that? And Donald Trump, especially with a completely neutered opposition party, does have enough power to do a bunch of this shit. I don't know. I wish I didn't fucking put the fear of God into so many chuds, because I want them speaking up. I want them to say like what they feel right now. When they see this, like, do they like it? Do they not recognize how fucking insane this is? Like, what's the justification from a right-wing point of view that this is okay, that like you legitimately believe that the mail-in ballots are fake or something? Is that what it is? Biden has 4,000 lawyers ready in Florida only. Fake news, lol. I mean, but it's Trump saying it. Yes, I'm playing with Doo-Doo Daphne, who doo-dooed in her diapers. Trump had always followed the law. You're just mad that he's smarter than you? You mean like he's able to do whatever he wants because the law is completely meaningless, right? That's what you mean when you say he followed the law. Like he followed the iron law of you can do whatever the fuck you want as long as, you know, everything is built on shoestring. This notion when everything is
Bring it
built
like hell
on
up.
basically a fucking shoestring, and that this notion that like all of our democratic institutions rely on good faith, rely on like honorable men, this fantasy of honorable men following the protocols for no reason other than the fact that they must follow the protocols and trust our institutions. That all falls apart when you got that all completely falls apart when you got someone like Donald Trump. I mean, you got Republicans doing it already for decades, but then Donald Trump's like, yeah, why don't I take it to the high gear, like kick it into the next level? It's not that he's like insanely intelligent. I think that there are areas where Donald Trump outshines people, and the way that like liberal media portrays him is incorrect. I don't think he's an idiot. I think he's very good at reading the room. But he's also smart enough to recognize that like nothing can really stop you if you want to.
Without any foundation of evidence, without any explanation.
SWAT teams moved in Sunday afternoon after a man opened fire with an assault rifle inside a popular pizza restaurant in Washington, D.C.
The one that caught our attention first is this narrative that goes by the name Pizzagate. According to Pizzagate, Hillary Clinton was running a child sex trafficking ring out of the basement of a pizzeria in Washington, D.C. And of course, this struck us as you know, kind of a preposterous narrative. It wasn't preposterous.
Isn't that crazy that like all the people that knowingly, purposely spread this shit are now still fundamentally important social influencers within the conservative circles? Like they got no punishment for Pizzagate. Like all these this guy looks like a scuffed Ruffalo, by the way. More like Mark Ruffled Ruffalo, am I right? Anyway, that's besides the point. I mean, people still believe like Pizzagate is real, which is completely psychotic, but
to Edgar Welch, who showed up at the pizzeria with an assault rifle that he fired in the pizzeria, hoping to free the children who were, he assumed, locked up in the basement. He did not have a basement. Of course, there were no children being held. As he said after he was imprisoned, the intel on that wasn't 100%. The intel on that was 0%. The desire to understand is a big reason why people believe in conspiracy, and the desire to control. So when we face a threat that we can neither understand and therefore not control, it's really quite disequilibrating. I can relate to that right now as we all live through this pandemic.
The data analytics company Graphica has observed an explosive growth of QAnon content being
what conservative got popular pushing Pizzagate and now accepted in conservative media? Mike Cernovich, Jack Posobiec. I didn't say they got accepted in conservative media, but Mike Cernovich, Jack Posobiec, Paul Joseph Watson, obviously Alex Jones. These guys all are still like influential figures within conservative media circles. Wasn't Dan Bongino one of those people too? I'm not sure on Dan. Michael Flynn and Michael Flynn Jr., of course, but those are like QAnon sickos still. I mean, guys, Michael Flynn was, I mean, he was in the administration. Like, it doesn't get more powerful and accepted in conservative circles than that. Do you think it's possible that a Q supporter or Proud Boys from Militant Chubb might try to assassinate Biden if he's elected? Seems possible given how militant and delusional the right has become. Yeah, fuck no, dude. They would get their shit pushed in. Here's what would happen. If Joe Biden became president, first of all, if they would kill him, then Kamala Harris is president, which is worse in the eyes of a QAnon supporter. And secondly, if the dude, like, here's what would actually happen. The intelligence communities would intercept traffic, was they fucking spy on everything. They would hear you talking about in any number of these different circles where you think you have secure connections with one another. Usually you don't even have that because you're too stupid. If you're a fucking QAnon supporter and a Patriot prayer guy, you're probably already dumb enough to like fucking correspond with your homies and your fucking uncle about how you want to kidnap the governor over like totally trackable conversations anyway. They would intercept that message and be like, is this a serious one? And then the other FBI guy would be like, probably not. And then they'd be like, should we fucking get them to make this serious? And then they would egg you on, or an informant would egg you on. And then ultimately you would try to do an assassination plot that would immediately get foiled. You'd be in jail for like fucking 45 years. And that would probably stop other QAnon and Patriot Prayer type people from trying to execute Joe Biden. If that didn't work, they'd do it a couple more times. Liberal FBI, boys. Neoliberal FBI is the future. Can't wait to fucking yell at liberals in my chat about how, like, neoliberal FBI is still devastating. Because no matter what they do to the white supremacists, okay, they're going to do 10 times worse to black people by making up shit like black identity extremists. Like, what the fuck is that?
Shared on social media since the start of the pandemic.
When we first mapped QAnon in June 2018, it was the most dense conspiracy community we had ever studied, which means that the accounts themselves were following accounts of similar interests online, and it was presenting as a very tightly connected community. We started to notice that it was becoming more autonomous, and these accounts were actually embedding themselves in different movements online and different community spaces. You can see it basically like an atom splitting, and this is then kind of metastasized into what is essentially a QAnon anti-vaccination movement or a QAnon plus anti-government conspiracy in France. So that it really relies on those movements having existed in countries before, and there being active conspiracies about various parts of the government or the media or public institutions.
It did have an international presence prior to the pandemic. QAnon had moved to Canada, France, and UK through the Yellow Vest protests and had been part of those digital ecosystems. It had gotten into UK through Brexit. There was an overlap between disinformation around Brexit and QAnon.
In the UK, I think there has been a reliance on existing street movements, right-wing movements that are protesting immigration and the control of the media by the UK government.
In Germany, it got into that ecosystem in light of the election, and QAnon in Germany is closely linked to the AfD.
In Germany, I think what we've seen is an aligning with a social movement and a political movement that's very anti-Merkel and focused on health misinformation.
And that's why you can't say, watching from the EU, lol. This is literally why I always say, shut the fuck up, EU. Whatever happens here fucks you over too. This is why you can't say, oh, lol, we are laughing at you from the EU. No, you're not. Because our brain cancer is our #1 export, bitch. You don't understand. It's like the State Department still like stops us from selling small arms to your fucking countries so far. Okay? That is actually something that the Trump administration tried to change the rules around too, by the way, so we could sell guns to European countries. But that's the thing, like brain cancer, well, there's a lot of fucking space for unregulated brain cancer that, and we have a lot of it, so we can spread it around. Like, fuck yeah, spread it. So there's no part of the planet where you can be safe from American influence. UK isn't in the EU. Yeah, well, Germany is the EU. So what's up with that? They were just showing Germany. And without Germany, there is no EU. So what's up with that then? I think Germans being anti-European Union is fucking funnier than the UK being anti-European Union. I mean, I guess you literally have to be a Nazi in that circumstance. Like, that's part of the reason why you would want to do that. So in that sense, it does make sense.
A recent survey conducted by Hope Not Hate found that a quarter of people in Britain agree with conspiracies propagated by QAnon, with young people under 35 proving to be particularly susceptible.
My journey believing in QAnon, it was definitely, really quite traumatic. I went from having no reason to not trust the world around me to suddenly having so much distrust. It was unbelievable. I couldn't look at media outlets because I was convinced that they were all trying to brainwash me.
There is QAnon.
The thing that got me into QAnon was a video by Isaac Cappy, who was an actor in Hollywood, who accused a lot of really big celebrities of being a part of a big paedophilia ring.
I'm sorry if this is the kind of bursting your bubble, all this information.
What the fuck is this guy? He's dead? Who was he? He was in Thor? He died right after this? Oh my god, that's some real Q shit, dude. He's a D-list actor who accused Seth Green and Tom Hanks of being pedos? How did he get clapped? Wait, hold on.
There's accusations by someone who was around these celebrities made it.
He jumped off a bridge? Okay, that's sus as fuck, dude. Oh, Jesus Christ. This video is widespread in the alt-right. Okay. Probably because he was delusional, though. I mean, yeah, he's definitely delusional. Terminator Salvation, Breaking Bad. He was a member of the band Monster Paws. As a musician, Cappy played in bands Charles McMansion. Legal issues. Cappy was investigated by police after reportedly threatening actress Paris Jackson and Seth Green. Wait, what? Jackson accused Cappy of choking her at a party they were both attending. Cappy committed suicide by jumping from a bridge into oncoming traffic. Wait, what the fuck? I didn't know he did this to Paris. Cappy committed suicide by jumping from a bridge into oncoming traffic. He posted a lengthy note on his Instagram account in which he opened up about his drug and alcohol abuse and apologized to Jesus Christ, Donald Trump, of the QAnon conspiracy theory movement. The post was captioned, "Beware the man that has nothing to lose, for he has nothing to protect." Yo, imagine apologizing to Donald Trump before committing suicide. Jesus Christ, that's sad, dude. Yo, that's the saddest. Okay, yeah, now I do actually believe he committed suicide. If we're being real. Like, before I was like, there's no way. Maybe it sounds too suspicious. But then, how do these people come up with crazy conspiracies but can't figure out how capitalism screws them over? The caption is 14 words. I mean, dude, a lot of shit is 14 words. You got to stop fucking doing numerology, liberals. Jesus Christ. Wait, what was I going to do? Hold on. Oh, ad time. Yeah. Top of the hour, every hour, 60-second ad break. And then we're going to get back to the Hollywood pedophilia. You already know, ladies and gentlemen.
This is a deranged pervert.
Love you, pooper.
Every 14-word sentence is racist. Yeah, it's crazy.
More real in a way. April time was like my worst time because it was sort of like just after lockdown and I wasn't able to sort of like see people, and so
I mean, I've talked about pedophilia in fucking Hollywood. Sacha Baron Cohen has. Plenty of people have talked about it. None of us are fucking dead. You know what I mean?
Oh, you're such a big man, Hasan.
Sorry, I was waiting for the ad break to end.
D.
No, it's just like, not yet. Okay, dude.
Oh, you're
the point is like,
big man, Hasan.
The point is, there are certainly problems like that, especially in Hollywood, but there's problems similar to that in every industry.
Make that
and some very notable people
Go vegan,
that still fucking win, that still win awards and shit and are celebrated, just like Harvey Weinstein was, still end up doing whatever the fuck they want to do. Oh my god, dude, you are fucking so annoying.
it was sort of like a loneliness that I couldn't cure. My mother, she tried to convince me to go to counselling because there wasn't a lot she could say. She would show me videos, or she would like talking about when she was growing up, there were similar theories and it wasn't true. And it did help a little bit, and I think that did help me sort of like transition outwards. I sort of realised things that I believed in was fabricated, and so suddenly it made things feel more like a theory rather.
Bro, what the fuck kind of accent is this? Like what area, what region?
Then I believe.
Beautiful, beautiful cat. So as you see, there's a lot of Trump fans here, of course, as it is a Q meeting.
In verschiedenen Ländern der Erde. Kinder aus den Händen pädophiler Netzwerke befreien.
Μωρά, παιδιά, ανήλικα, χιλιάδες στον αριθμό, τα οποία είναι κακοποιημένα, βασανισμένα στα πρόθυρα θανάτου. Το καταλαβαίνετε αυτό?
What I found is that QAnon International had 1.85 million members, which is approximately a little less than half than the entire QAnon population. Most of these 1.85 million followers have appeared really within the last 6 months, which kind of shows the impact of the pandemic, where, you know, QAnon Italy and QAnon Spain saw massive growth after the lockdowns and after the huge impact COVID had on those populations.
So I think the internationalization of the movement is something that is being grossly underestimated at the moment. What we're really seeing is a large-scale anti-government conspiracy that's gone international. And I think that poses a threat not just to the US election that's coming up in a few days' time, but also to democracies around the world and to collective trust in institutions. So it's the thing that I find the most interesting and also the most terrifying.
I think that whether we have a Trump win.
The fuck did I tell you? EU chat? An AU chat? Huh? Best kind of brain cancer up here. Like, whatever we do, we got the best kind of brain cancer. America is number one on a lot of things, okay? Obviously, number one in COVID cases. One of the highest percentages in COVID deaths per capita. Number one in most jailed people. Definitely not number one in like taking care of our citizens or anything. Don't be crazy. That would be communism. Number one in obesity, even though Mexico is trying to beat us on that, but you know, we keep pushing them back. And also, most importantly, number one in spreading brain cancer. Why are 32,000 people in here? Did you do something? Yeah. Your mom. God, I'm sorry. You don't deserve that. You probably asked normally. No, I think it's just because the election cycle is so close.
Win in November or a Trump loss in November, QAnon is going to continue to grow.
I am 100% behind Q. He's working for the president. He's working for our country.
The narrative, the propositional elements of QAnon, there's no reason to think that it would necessarily produce violence, or that those who affiliate with it or who are deeply loyal to Donald Trump's presidency would necessarily take up violence. I think it's probably more plausible to think that, you know, most people are quite nonviolent. Just that if you follow the logic, if you are fighting an entity that is evil to its core, if you're fighting Nazis, then violence would be justified. Do you tolerate it when the Nazis win an election?
I will die for my country and my family and my friends. They ain't gonna win. There ain't nothing else. They ain't gonna win. You don't want none of this. The liberals ain't gonna win. No.
The FBI has warned that QAnon could motivate extremists in the US to carry out acts of violence. It's already been linked to several violent acts, including the murder of a mafia boss, as well as 2 QAnon members that live-streamed their crimes. One man created a standoff with authorities at the Hoover Dam.
No more lies.
The other taking his 5 children and wife on a high-speed chase with police.
Donald Trump, I need a miracle or something. Somebody, QAnon, help me.
Following Twitter's lead, Facebook and Instagram announced in October that they would be banning groups, pages, and accounts that represented QAnon.
Hey, those things that they just mentioned, that wasn't last week, the October 1st. You know how Facebook just said, oh, we're banning QAnon on October 1st? Those things that came up right before the video wasn't in October. Maybe October of 2018. These motherfuckers have been on it. And Facebook was just like, I don't know. Meanwhile, while that shit was happening, by the way, while all that was happening, and QAnon supporters were growing and whatnot, Facebook was, or at least not Facebook personally, but Mark Zuckerberg was going on fucking news, like nightly news broadcasting shit, and talking about how he's not going to ban Holocaust deniers on his platform. Just remember that.
The post-internet age has both connected and unplugged our society, leaving many intellectually curious users isolated and thirsting for answers to the endemic problems of our globalized society.
I'm so much more concerned about the population of people who don't believe, but who can be brought to the state where they don't know what to believe. That's the worry. That's where the action is. Changing the minds of a true believer is perhaps impossible. And that's where I think trying to open up a conversational space where you can just hear each other and get curious about how each other comes to the views they each have. That's where it might be possible to sustain friendship with each other. And I do think we need to relearn the skills of civic friendship so that we can make politics with each other instead of making war.